Hey guys, thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And I hope you enjoyed this interview. All right, welcome back, Mr. ODION OMONFOMAN, Power Sector Consultant, the Nigerian Governors Forum, and MD New Hampshire Capital Ltd is joining me now for us to take a look at electricity issues. Good morning, Mr. OMONFOMAN, and thank you for joining me this morning.
Thank you, Nancy, and good morning.
Good morning. Now, let's get started. I don't know if you were listening to my interview earlier in terms of electricity prices skyrocketing, also impacting inflation. We do know that there was an announcement a few days ago about electricity tariffs going up. There was also another announcement by the discos to bring it down. They were citing foreign exchange has gone down, exchange value now is going up to about 1,500. Where does it leave the rest of us? And what would you say about this Band A thing? I'm classified into Band A. I will tell you that I've actually been suffering power issues too. You know, in the past few weeks, very epileptic where I reside here in Abuja. So what do you have to say about that?
Okay, so let's start with the tariff increase. First of all, is it a justified increase? I would say yes. And let me put it this way. Inflation is going up. What that means is that inflation is also affecting cost of production. Power is produced. It has to be generated, it has to be transmitted, it has to be distributed and sold. There's also a workforce, a labor cost to all of these things. So invariably, as we have inflation going up, it would also affect the power sector, and at some point, tariffs would go up. But I think what the government has done is to be creative in how they pass the increase, rather than do a tariff increase across board. They're choosing the most reliable customers, or the customers that get the most reliable service, to pass on the increase to. So that's how we've arrived at this particular Band A conversation. But you must keep in mind that this service-based tariff methodology did not start in April. It has been in force since, I think it was September or December 2020, when NEC had to move tariffs. And rather than use the previous classifications where you had industrial customers, commercial customers, residential customers, all manner of customer tariff categories, they structured it into a service-based tariff band where Band A customers get the most reliable service, 20 hours and above, which is a shame. If you really ask me, after years of privatization, we're still saying we cannot guarantee people 24 hours power. We're still saying we'll give you 20 hours of power and you have to pay this much.
Even though so those 20 hours, we don't get them.
Fantastic. So that's another thing entirely. Now, you talked about tariffs. In April, tariff was 225 naira per kilowatt hour for Band A customers. And then in May, it's come down because of the drivers. The two drivers are inflation rates and FX costs, which are effectively pass-through costs. The question you should ask is, what will your tariff be in June as we see FX rates go up and inflation go up?
But was that a tenable, sorry, Mr. OMONFOMAN, because I know we just have a few minutes, you know, but I just need to put as many questions as possible. But was that a tenable explanation? Or do you think that they just bowed to pressure? Because just after a few days too, we've seen foreign exchange going up. Then number two, you actually justified why electricity tariffs should be higher. I understand that economically. That's what I do here every weekday. But the issue is that people are actually feeling this. And the people that are feeling it are poor people, as it were. Don't give me that they are under Band E or Band D. Don't give me that. Because even the D and E people, all of us are in the same category. We don't have lights. The issue is that our incomes are not even commensurate enough to pay for whatsoever band that we are in.
Let me explain that the band is not the issue, or rather how much the band is. It is the fact that you have to self-generate particularly for the band D's and those who don't have electricity. So they have to buy petrol at 700, 800 naira per liter to go and fuel their better capacity generator. Businesses that are classed in band D, E, C, or wherever, or B, have to go and buy diesel to power their generators at an added cost. So if we had service, reliable service, where you do not need to power your generators. I mean, you're in band A, you're having to run your generators as well because of the epileptic service. The challenge we should face is, if we say this is this band we're in and this is the number of hours, then there should be that reliability, there should be that assurance. And if there's no such, then there should be a remedy for a reduction in tariff. That's why I don't buy this whole subsidy conversation by government, right? To say there's subsidy. Because if you're not getting the service, then what are you subsidizing? I should get a rebate. So by the time you add my rebate, that should cover for the cost I used to power myself, to provide alternative power. But there's something I need to bring up on this tariff thing. We must start to think our minds what the tariffs will look like in June. Because what people should realize is that the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission has now adjusted the tariff review process to now make tariff reviews monthly. Now, that's where I think there's a danger in the whole fiscal space. Because what you now say is every month, people now have to be worried, what's the tariff going to be next month? Nobody knows what the tariff will look like in June, but I can assure you the tariff will be higher than 225 naira per kilowatt hour based on where FX is today. Because at 225 naira per kilowatt hour, the FX used there was at 1,400. FX is above 1,500 today. If it stays to the end of May, then there's no justification for tariffs to go down if you're to use that same process. So my concern is this monthly adjustment of electricity tariffs, because now when you adjust it, it impacts inflation. You put inflation into the tariff, and then you have this merry-go-round that we're doing, where we're now chasing inflation and also making inflation chase us, so to speak. I would suggest that the NERC look at a much more amenable tariff review process that is not going to spike inflation, right? That will seek to moderate inflation and not make us have to adjust our prices at the end of every month or the beginning of every month because we think electricity prices will go up or not come down in a manner that will affect pricing. The other thing I'd like to talk about is the real cost, the reason why we have this impact, gas pricing. Even though gas is priced in dollars and then paid in naira, the FX rate is passed through. We see a situation where gas producers pass on the price of gas every month. I don't think that's sustainable to an economy. So you're buying gas today at, say, you use $2.42 per million MBTU, and then they use a rate of, say, 1,200 for this month. Next month, they're using a rate of 1,500, which is justified. But the point is, you don't have that elasticity in pricing. So I think the fiscal authority should sit down and say, how do we moderate energy prices such that we don't have this month-on-month shock? Because that is what is causing urban inflation and core inflation. In fact, urban inflation price 36%.
To ensure a fair and transparent tariff system. Okay, now we just have about 5 minutes to the end of this interview, and I want us to be very short and sharp. And I'll ask you like 4 or 5 questions, so just listen in so that you can use like a minute or so to answer each. The first is around the NLC and stakeholders as well as government engagement. How do you think that dialogue should be addressed to have a meaningful dialogue with our stakeholders around the electricity sector, including our labor? The second is, how do we ensure a smooth transition of state electricity markets? You were on this show the last time, perhaps last year, so just before President Buhari left, we talked about the act which he signed just before he left. What has really happened around states? The third question will be around TCN unbundling, the impact on transmission. This just happened a few days ago, so I'd like you to comment on that. Then I think finally around the $500 million loan from the World Bank. I saw that from, I think, a 7.5 billion that the World Bank is giving to the government. About $500 million will be used for electricity meters in the country. Here we go again. What do you think would happen? So shoot.
Well, I don't know if 5 minutes is sufficient.
Just be as brief as possible,
so
yes.
NLC, I think NLC should sit with the Commission and producers of power, who are also their members, to understand the variables that go into production of power, production, transmission, and distribution of power. Once that is understood, then NLC can then see where and how they can moderate some of this impact. For instance, I talked about the gas cost. Why are gas prices adjusted every month? Can we just have a 6-month adjustment period? Why is electricity tariffs now being adjusted every month? Can we have a more stable period? So NLC should sit down with the required people and then understand the inputs. In terms of state electricity markets, states are moving on. Very soon, we'll have more states pass their laws. Oyo, Ekiti, Ondo, Enugu, the past years, and NEC has also issued a transition notice that will cede regulatory authorities to the state regulators. We expect by the end of this year, we will see more defined state electricity markets, and we will see new players. Hopefully, will bring down the cost of power because people now have alternatives other than the national grid. So that will impact that. In terms of TCN unbundling, that's a good thing. That's been in the works since the power sector reform started. And I'm glad that the current NERC has taken the bull by the horn, obviously backed by the Electricity Act. We expect a more efficient dispatch of electricity, transmission and dispatch of electricity. So hopefully that's positive to the extent that we can empower the SO, the new institution, to start work. On the $500 million metering loan, that's very out. Like you said, here we go again.
You don't even know what to answer.
Let me just reserve my comments on that, because we've been down this route since 2002. There's even $100 million facility we borrowed from the Eurobonds to do metering, 3 million meters to close the metering gap. That money is still sitting down in one bank, but this time converted to Naira. We've had too many mass metering schemes that always tell you that they will close the metering gap. They never do. They'll tell you that they will improve revenues. How can you improve revenues when discos are in distress? Government is forcing subsidies on the market. People can adjust prices. And then you also have other instances where customers are already paying for meters, and the market is not yet opened up for them to buy the meters that they want to buy. So let me leave it at that. Let's see the structure of the program, and then we can comment more on that.
Okay, just in 10 seconds, a solution. What do you think the government should do to be able to ameliorate the situation? Are there any quick wins quickly?
Like I said, the quick win is very simple. Make your tariff process a lot more longer. Don't do tariff reviews every month. We can have true-ups. So if gas pricing is $2 and it's at 1.4 today, the next adjustment of gas producers should not be able to adjust prices every month. They should have a minimum window where we then have a true-up. That way, that would reduce the impact of tariff increases and decreases as we see. That's the pressure on electricity tariffs.
Okay.
So that for me is one solution government can look at.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Omonfoman. Thank you for joining us today. Speak to you soon. All right, I've been speaking with Mr. ODION Omonfoman, who is a power sector consultant with the Nigerian Governors Forum. He's also the managing director at New Hampshire Capital Ltd. We've been looking at the issues around the electricity sector. Thank you all for your company again today. Be the best you can be and be the change that you want to see. I am Nancy Naji. Thank you for watching. In case this is your first time watching us, thank you. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, drop your comments as well as like, and most of all, share our content.